Revisiting classic games has been made a lot harder due to the dwindling availability
of older generations of consoles. But duh. There's no point in making older consoles if newer consoles have better specs and better performance. But when we're not allowed to play these older consoles, we're stripped away from games that people are still talking about today. I've never owned a DS, but people always talk about how amazing the games are on this console. Games like Mario Kart DS
or Pokemon Platinum.
This is the second highest selling console, and it definitely makes sense why. But there were so many games I just missed out on, and it's too hard to play these older games, so I turned to the next best thing, a new app on the iOS App Store, Delta Emulator. And if you don't know what an emulator is, imagine a device that replicates another device. That's what an emulator is. Basically, it just makes it easier to play Shadow the Hedgehog on a computer. But how do you find DS games to play on your phone? Well, I'll have a tutorial later in the video, but first let's get through the list of DS games, and starting off with
Tony Hawk's American Skateland. You can tell it's cool because that's an Alien title.
It is yet another installment in the very extensive Tony Hawk Skater franchise. And if you played one, you basically know them all. However, this one takes a more unique approach, with having a style that can only be achieved on the console like the DS. There's a story to this game, but if you're playing a skate game for a story, you're in the wrong park. But after skating around, Tony Hawk himself is impressed by your awesome tricks, and you and your friend convince him to help you guys fix an old skate park. And throughout the game's story, you're fulfilling quests from random people and getting cash to customize the skate park. But most of your playtime is the gameplay, so let's talk about the gameplay. The game automatically excels for you, so you don't need to worry about holding down forward, and you're able to move left and right freely. The level design is built around you performing tricks back to back in quick succession,
and your score ranks up basically like a combo counter.
The level design is filled with half pipes, staircases, quarter pipes, ledges, pools, and a lot more. The layout is practically just a big skate park, but as a city. It works wonderfully alongside the moveset you have at your disposal. Whenever you're moving, you're rarely going in a straight line. You're constantly using your surroundings to perform tricks like 180s, kick flips, heel flips, FS reverse,
wall plant, 50 and 50, FS wall
and tail grab. We can all admit there's a lot of skate tricks. Do you really need me to say them all? The gameplay is able to keep you around for a long time due to the movement system being fun and kind of addicting. It's really nice just being able to fake being a pro skater, because doing these tricks in real life would be a lot harder. This is where we'd cut to me trying to do the tricks, but I'm not gonna try to hurt myself because that looks painful. Some games have a problem with the movement being too slow, but not this game. This game has a skateboard, so the game's gonna act like it has a skateboard. The main goal of this experience is to be a pro skater, and it doesn't try to be anything else. It follows the same logic I had in my previous video, where the more time you put into the game, the better you'll get. And this is a perfect example of that due to the scoring system, which ramps up the more and more you do tricks in quick succession from one to the other. You can get a hang of the system, allowing your gameplay to be much smoother while you're falling less and less. But you'll still find yourself falling and failing tricks a lot. But it's okay, you can quickly get back up and you're right back on the board. The game doesn't punish you for not landing a trick properly. You learn tricks by interacting with NPCs, and you'll receive a task that involves doing a specific trick, usually performed by pressing a button at the right time. It's impressive how many different animations there are in this game. With every trick comes a different animation. It feels as if this game can't get stale with how many things you're able to do in this game, and 7 different maps to explore and skate around. I find myself finding idle time to play this game, and it's always just a good time playing. And I'm slightly disturbed by the eggplant that stares at you in the pause screen. So let's move on to the next game. When I say kart racer, what do you think of? Mario Kart, right? Well, I chose Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing, and I think I chose the right option. Sega used to have this series of games where they cross over Sonic and different Sega IPs. We had different series like Super Monkey Ball, Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi. It was nice seeing Sega utilize these characters that were never really seen outside of their own franchise. It reminds me what Nintendo did with their IPs in Super Smash Bros. But onto the actual racing, you accelerate with the A button, which is hard to do on phone because while you're paying attention to the top screen where the race is actually happening, you're not really focusing if your finger's on the A button or not. And sometimes it even costs me the match due to how many items are thrown around. We have a rocket that hones in on the racer ahead of you. We have these sonic shoes that boost you forward.
And if there's another racer in front of you,
there's also this really cool Pride merch thing that you can just drop down and it splurges all over your screen. There are more items like this mine that looks like a traffic cone. But if you find yourself in last place, you have a higher chance of getting this all-star power-up that changes based on who you're playing. This really allows for a unique experience for each and every character that you play. Ai hops on his ball, don't make a joke, and rolls extremely fast and runs into everyone in his way. Sonic goes into Supersonic, Eggman starts shooting rockets all around him, Billy Hatcher runs on this massive egg. It's really cool to see how many different super power-ups there are, and how each of them are unique to that character. This is such a cool technique that needs to get used in more racing games. Picking different characters seem more like picking different stats. However, with this item, it helps fundamentally make each character unique. But the characters are even more than that.
even what they're racing in,
Is special to that character. Characters on motorcycles can do wheelies if you hold back on the D-pad. Whoever's in a hovercraft is slightly hovering over the track. And the drifting in this game is special. In Mario Kart, when you drift one way, you're auto-locked to go that one way. But in this game, when you drift, you're allowed to go side to side, allowing more versatile movement to this game. There's also plenty of other content you can do besides racing. This game also has missions similar to Mario Kart DS. You have a whole tower of different missions you're able to play. These are different challenges you have to face with different characters. The challenges can go from finishing a race to collecting enough coins to meet the quota. The challenges repeat, but with different characters and different courses, so it's able to have this repeating loop of gameplay, but keep itself fresh each loop. But I'm realizing I could talk about this game forever, so let's move on to the next one. Cookie Mama is a series I need to familiarize myself with, because I've never played a Cookie Mama game. In my first video essay, I said
I never got the chance to play Cooking Mama. I never had a DS.
and today, I'm proud to say I have played my first Cooking Mama game. Cooking Mama, as the title suggests, is about cooking with a mama who gives you cooking-related tasks like stirring the pot, slicing vegetables, frying meats, and whipping up a restaurant's catalog of food. The gameplay mainly involves you using the touchscreen to drag lines on the screen, spinning your finger around in a circle, and doing specific tasks when prompted to. I find myself being bad at some tasks compared to others. Sometimes tasks are easy as buttering up a pan as quick as possible, but some tasks are like not knowing how to flip the steak. I physically cannot figure out how to flip the steak. Like I tried swiping up and down, or a quarter circle motion on my phone. I even tried flipping the actual phone. I'm slowly realizing I'm probably not ready for the heat that Cookie Mama puts me through. However, the gameplay is still fun. The actual tasks themselves repeat throughout each dish you prepare and cook. And the more you finish making different dishes, the more you unlock different recipes to make, with each of them having its own medal to achieve by being able to cook these meals well enough to meet Mama's standards. But the difficulty of the tasks depends on the dish you're making. Like the grilled mackerel is an easier dish to make than the pan-fried batter cake due to the simpler tasks and smaller number of tasks. For example, peeling vegetables is a lot more difficult than cutting a tentacle. You're always constantly pressured by the clock, and on occasion, you may cut it even extremely close. When you're finished with the dish, you're welcomed by a hopefully pleasing display of the dish you made, and given a score of how you did. And if you're like me, the score is probably somewhere in the 70s, if I'm lucky. The game isn't too fancy, some of the controls are wonky, and the tasks sometimes don't describe themselves well. But this is also the first game in the series, so I'm pretty sure it got better over time. There are two groups of people in this world: people who like rhythm games, and people who don't like rhythm games. And usually the people that like rhythm games love rhythm games. But I lied. There's a third group of people who just dabbled in rhythm games. These are people who touch games like Friday Night Funkin' or Osu. But a rhythm game that every rhythm game player loves to mention is Rhythm Heaven, with the DS one being the second installment in the franchise. This game utilizes the touchscreen to its full advantage. with the gameplay mainly focusing on tapping the screen, flicking, or holding. Along with this simple gameplay is nice animations to go along with the music you're listening to. This game's a classic in the rhythm game genre, and pretty much the Mario of the competition. And as I started the game, I realized I'm really bad at rhythm games. My timing is all around off, and the game definitely tries to let me know that. In the Glee Club minigame, whenever you even slightly mess up your timing, the other two chorus kids will do this smirky grin at you. And even when you fail, which I did a lot, you get this screen saying, why is everyone so mad? The game themselves are fun, but holy crap is this game hard. I especially found the fan club minigame being extremely difficult. You're expected to clap 4 times after hearing a word 3 times, but the timing for this is way too precise. Other rhythm games have less strict timing, allowing the gameplay to be easier for newer players. But for this, the gameplay demands you to practice and practice and practice to learn the timing. I reckon I spent more time practicing than playing the actual song. And the practice really helps out, because after completing the 4 songs in a series, you have to play a remix of all of the previous songs combined. Experiencing the remix is a thrill, as the visuals accompany the very upbeat and exciting music. You are tested how fast you can react and get a sense of the rhythm and interact with the world on beat. These moments really encapsulate what rhythm heaven means to most people. These games can challenge your timing and reflexes through silly scenarios and catchy songs that reward you for playing a song just perfectly. Come on. Oh my god, I suck at this game. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright. But you were wondering how to get these games on your phone, right? Say yes. Good! Well, you can go over to your app store and search Delta, then download. While it's downloading, find yourself in the link of the description and click the link that's captioned DS files. Download the 3 files titled BIOS 7, BIOS 9, and firmware. Next, open up Delta and click the settings in the top left. Scroll down to Nintendo DS, click, and input each file in their respective places, matching the names. Hooray! Now you have DS on your phone. But wait a second, where are the games? Well, I'm sorry, friend, I just can't help you with that. It's just wrong to just find games online anywhere. So there's just no games. There's no place you can find them. But if you somehow find the games, to import them to Delta, click top right, Files, and the game should just be looking at you. You can also download NES, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. But this was a video about the DS, so I didn't talk about that. And if there's any more DS games you recommend, please comment them below. But that's all the games. There's no more games. I have no more games. There's no more games. Do you see the games? I don't. Man, now I'm really questioning why I downloaded every single Pirates of the Caribbean game. Okay. Anyways, goodbye.